Hey! Everything seems to be good now. So, hey guys, how's it going? My name is Justin. And you're watching 270 of DangIT Prodcast. Don't mind me. I just had lunch like down below here. Just like some kind of not taco salad like you guys might see in the vlog later on, but it is definitely a salad. And I had to just kind of like scurry in and just kind of eat this thing quickly before I started the podcast. So, if anything, just like, if you hear something other than my voice, you'll know then. But looks like we're having a couple of issues with maybe connection, maybe, as far as what the podcast is showing me right now, or at least OBS. Don't mind that. But, hey, how's everyone doing today? We got Mark and we got Josh, and that's pretty much it. We also have eyeshadow as well. Don't worry about that. And I wanted to just kind of like follow up on people like in the comments in the chat specifically. God, I'm really bad today. That's because I never give myself a warm up. That's the problem. Like, for example, you see that Kibbles is not turned on yet. The fan's not really on despite it being warm in here. Actually, it's not too warm. That's just me just worrying about things. So I'll go ahead and keep that fan on and also turn Kibbles. But I do want to point out to everyone, as far as the new Pokemon stuff, kind of crazy right now with what they've been announcing. Hopefully, from what I'm seeing from the podcast, everyone can hear me loud and clear. And whether they're like stuttering between like shots and everything, you can still hear me loud and clear. So hopefully there's that. Just let me know. People talking about Pokemon. Sword and Shield, there's some new stuff being announced. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it. I have not seen it yet. And I know that it's been floating around on the internet because, of course, the internet is going to spread that thing like a wildfire. But I have been one of those people who haven't actually been able to watch the video itself or see any like reputable like blog posting of it yet. So I only know what Instagram and Twitter has shown me, which is Galarian forms, third form Punk Linoon, top hat Weezing, Hangry Pikachu, and the new team in Pokemon Sword and Shield representing a violent Pokemon fan base community called Team Yell. That's pretty much everything I know about it so far. And I mean, I've seen them, and I think Team Yell is the one that highlights me because people are saying like, oh, this is the fan community right here. They're putting us on full blast. And to that'd be great if it was actually the case. Also, something that was mentioned from Mark is that Bandai Namco is actually making a new Gundam game, which I think I've actually brought up before. And I actually have it downloaded right here. It's Gundam Battle, Gunpla Warfare, and it's something that recently got announced, I think sometime after Comic-Con. In fact, they did a whole bunch of, what was it? They did a lot of promotional stuff for this particular game, because it's the 4-year anniversary for Gundam, or so it says. And I talked about it for the podcast for Comic-Con, the whole hall and everything like that. I also talked about how they had a little venue station like outside of the convention center to celebrate Gundam, and that's where I got I'm not sure if I can see it from here, but just like a free, I guess, Gunpla like pack where I can just like assemble one myself. In addition to that, they had a little thing where you could pre-order the game, and so I did that, and I've been playing that game very on and off. And I'll tell you right now that it is a gacha game in the purest fashion like whatsoever. That didn't make sense. It's the purest like gacha game that I've seen within the 3 that I've played so far. The first one being Fire Emblem Heroes, and the second one being Dragalia Lost. Both, and now with Gundam, are ones that I play on a rather consistent basis. Mainly Fire Emblem, but also Dragalia. And with Gundam, it's kind of weird because It's really the same thing. I'll give you like a quick rundown of the mobile game. It's just you tackling on story modes, assembling your Gundam, going to these 3D battles, and having stamina, and that's pretty much it. And of course the gacha. So if you want your much more rare and much more powerful parts, you gotta put down money. Otherwise, you're gonna have to just hopefully RNG it. But in any case, let me just actually catch up with everyone now. So, oh yeah, there's also Yu-Gi-Oh! That Mark was talking about. Just got Legend of the Duelist on PlayStation 4, says Josh. I've never heard of it. Oh, 80... Whoa, give me a second. 80GLF or GL Fanatic 52. He's also here, so welcome. Whoa. And there's Corinne. But Mark is right now maining a lot of the Dragon Ball mobile games. And it's really strange because I find myself, like, of course I always talk about how busy I am nowadays. But I always try to find some time to, and I'm sorry if I'm peeking just a tad bit because I just raised the gain a little bit. But I just don't really have time to play a lot of games, and actually not a lot of time to film and edit things, actually. Right now I'm editing the July not podcast, but the July vlogs, DangIT vlogs, and with that I've been kind of busy. I've been able to like kind of tackle on like one filming day at a time as far as like content that I'm editing, but now I'm hitting like the Comic-Con section of the vlog, and I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of footage. As natural as it is, and I still enjoy it. I want to say that because it's still nice to just kind of look back, and I think that's still one of those types of content videos that I still like to make. A lot of things just kind of come and go for me, unfortunately. But hey, it's still fun to still like edit and stuff like that, and also still talk to you guys. So everything's still good. Corinne's also announcing that she got into her master's program, which is legit. I've been thinking about that. I know a lot of people at my office have been pursuing their masters to further excel in their curriculums, their education, and then to further like go and find other jobs out there specific to their particular study. And it's crazy because I feel like I'm just totally fine as it is now. Like I found my place, so it's great. Oh yeah, there is a they did put in, what was it, Dragon Ball Dokkan Legends. I'm not sure if that's all one title, but they also put that on the Switch. I remember that from a while back. But that's crazy. That is all good, Justin. Yeah, like I'm totally fine with like where I'm at right now, and it's just for me. And oh man, it's not a podcast if I don't talk about work nowadays. But it's been steady. I think I'm finding a groove into things. I'm gonna get into a very consistent like base as far as like consistency and efficiency. So all's gonna be good. All's gonna be well. And if we're gonna talk about updates on things, I wanted to bring up like kind of a mellow one, because I just came out of it. You guys know about my weekly animal shelter visits, right? I always do those nowadays, or now weeks. But you know that, I mean, there's a bunch of dogs I've talked about before, but it's the one that I believe I talked to you guys like a few weeks back, and TLDR, she's still there, and it hurts to see her still there, because like someone go save her who isn't me. And you know what, like one of the most difficult things about it is the fact that I can't blame, there's no one to blame as far as why she's still there. She's marked as a stray, so even if she had family, they either never like put the chip on her, never put a collar on her, or she really was just kind of like raised out there, which I kind of don't believe, but it just says stray. And what was it? And I did a meet and greet with this dog like 3 weeks back or so, and she was just, I mean, aside from the initial, like, she just wanted to sniff around for like 15 whole minutes, she really was sweet. She came to me, she would lick my hand, and she was just very sweet. And I was like, I would love nothing more to adopt this dog, but given my circumstances, I cannot. So I'm going to pray to you, dog, that someone is going to adopt you 3 weeks later. And I'm just like, someone needs to save her. And not just her, just all these other dogs too. It just sucks because I can't blame anyone for it, because there's people who are in my, not specific, but just particular situation where they can take care of a dog, or there's just some shitty people out there who just want to dump a dog out there. And I don't know, there's not really much to blame. You can't even blame the shelter for putting them down, because the shelter doesn't have a choice. The shelter gives them, or at least the county gives the shelter the money. So if you can't make space, then you have to do something. Otherwise, there's going to be a sign of like less things going about as far as like shelter, like revenue being brought in. And then the county would just deem them as like, oh, they're not making enough, we're going to shut you down. And that just doesn't help the problem whatsoever. So it just really, really, really sucks. Sorry for bringing that up. I was just really upset on my drive back here with food in hand. Even I was just like, man, really, really sucks. Really does. But okay, sorry to bring that up again. But all right. So there's something else I wanted to talk about. Aside from Fire Emblem Three Houses, of course I'm going to talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses. Let me tell you, it's not really important because it's just like, it's just my personal thing. But you know what? I'll do it anyway. It's my podcast. It's fine. So I don't know if you guys really understand like most of the gameplay stuff with Fire Emblem, but essentially what they have going on is that it's like, it's kind of been the same formula. Granted, there are some additional things, but essentially it is a grid-based tactical battle thing where people have like limited movements to go from place to place each turn, and they'll usually kind of throw you a really tough enemy, like just one each map or so, where it's just a super strong, powerful unit. And usually they're either kind of like doing their own thing, they're moving around the map in a completely different opposite direction of where you're supposed to be going. So you don't even need a cross path with this one. But of course, the incentive is that you kind of want to fight them because they have something that you kind of want, even if you don't know what that thing is. Now, in this particular situation, I find myself against this enemy who has like a movement of absolute zero. He's not moving. He'll fight anyone adjacent to him. Otherwise, he will leave you alone. Now, you could just totally ignore him, and you know what, your units will tell you like, hey, I see Death Knight over there, you don't want to cross him, okay? And then in this particular map that I'm fighting, I see him again, and it says either fight Death Knight or just clear the entire room. This case, I didn't have much of a choice except to clear the entire room because everyone was just kind of like up in like our team's business. But it's one of those cases where I've seen gameplay of like people fighting him. It's not impossible to beat him. It's just really, really difficult, even with all the mechanics that you're given. But essentially, once you waltz up right next to him, he'll fight you, probably kill you, and he'll be like, I gave you all a chance. Now I'm going to hunt every single one of you. And then next turn, and you see his movement just like spread out to nearly the entire map, and you're like, oh, shit. So I had preemptively, before realizing that no other unit would leave my team alone, that I was gonna like raise up my main character to square up with this Death Knight. And unfortunately I didn't get to see the outcome of that, but right now that's kind of where I'm at in the game. I'm pretty sure I'm not even that far out in there. I just recruited like one of the units, Flame. I'm not sure if anyone would recognize her name, but just recruited her. That's pretty much where I'm at. And I'm like, damn, dude, I want to just keep on playing because like there's so much happening. There's so much things that could potentially happen. And it keeps making me want to play it more, and that's a really good thing. I think the Switch is doing an incredible job right now as far as bringing games that I really want to play. Like there's Super Mario Maker, and I need to jump back into Mario Maker 2. I'll probably do streams of that, like me just trying to get somewhere in like the story, and then maybe play some levels here and there. But aside from that, dude, like Fire Emblem Three Houses just got me like on a leash. It tells me to sit, I'm a sit. And it's so bad that it's actually preventing me from, editing my videos or even recording them, because it's like, all right, do I want to watch an episode of Fire Force that after the previous episode was kind of like or do I want to play Fire Emblem? And I'll usually go for the latter. But also Link's Awakening is going to be coming out too, and after that it's going to be Pokemon. Dude, like the Switch right now, like I'll be honest, I haven't touched my Xbox. I haven't even looked at my PlayStation 4 during. I've never even locked eyes with it. It's just like, no, Switch. The Switch is like doing so well for me right now. And I mean, I still like Xbox, I still like PlayStation 4. Granted, I only have like the one game for the PlayStation, that's just Spider-Man. But when we've already done Spider-Man, and haven't touched Sea of Thieves, haven't even looked at it during. I've just completely... And the thing is like, what, Gears 5 is coming out as well on Xbox and Microsoft, so it's like, whoa. And also, I did want to try to test out the Game Pass on Microsoft, and see how well my computer can actually run those games. So I'll definitely have to give that a try too, especially for like higher end ones, because I know that my PC is a not so it's not high tier, because of course we had the specs, and then that time last year when we got it, it was really just all the what's our second option types of specs. So it's not its very best, but it's good enough. The only downside right now is that I still stack up a lot of storage space, so right now there's not really much storage for like the main like stockpile stuff, and it's a lot of just footage from DangIT Plays and whatnot. Which case, oh yeah, by the way, I should try to do that, but I really haven't found the incentive to do it. And I don't know, like, I mean, I do streams, I do like not a lot of streams, but I stream still, but not like in the Let's Play format, or at least in a way that I could see as appealing as a Let's Play on YouTube versus just a live stream on Twitch. But yeah. All right, so I'm gonna just jump into first a water break. That was a little messy. But now I'm gonna just like jump into what people are saying. Josh is saying, as a former dog owner, I can say dogs are amazing to have, and that's the thing. It's like, I know that every single one of those doggos you find in those cages can have the potential to be the greatest companion you'll ever have, and will give you, for the limited time you're with them, for like a little over a decade or so. Some a little less, but generally like a little over a decade. Like, it'll be nothing but just like sheer happiness if you can get that dog trained right. And the problem is that like a lot of those dogs have behavior issues that aren't really addressed, or at least so I see according to like dog training videos and whatnot. But it just sucks that there's different circumstances too, especially with pit bulls. Like when you want to move somewhere and there's a law that legalizes people to say no to your pit bull if you want to like move out, or if you want to travel, for example. It's just not a good situation. It never is. But sorry, I don't like to make like a lot of spaces in between like my sentences. But yeah, people are talking about political stuff, and Corinne's already apologizing for getting political, and I appreciate the apology. As you guys know, I don't really like to get political like on this channel, because it's one thing to like make an opinion about something, right? Because, for example, like all these shootings have been happening, it's a terrible idea to have well, like the idea of just having like gun violence and then people resorting to like the gun laws and everything, like obviously there is a correlation now, but at that extent, I never say anything else except for the fact that people are people, and I really believe that we should have like a sense of security for us, and but I also know that it could be looked down upon like in the wrong hands. I can tell you guys right now, I was looking at a little bit of a news highlight as I was browsing one of my emails, that it was a guy who walked into a Walmart. You know how Walmart has the whole thing about like video games being violent type of news? You thought that was like a come and go thing, but this one's been lasting a little bit longer than others, and you're like, what's happening? But I think Walmart had banned a lot of their, or have done rearrangements for the advertisements so they don't advertise them having guns. They're still going to sell guns at the store, but it's like, it's not a main highlight. So what this guy did, this guy, as far as I could tell of what I could read, as far as I read, is that he's totally sane. He is totally just clear as day as far as like his mentality on it. But of course, like his family's telling him like, this is a bad idea. He walks into his Walmart with like, you know, like shopping cart, but he has like, what was it? Like he has a vest on, and he has like a handgun and like and a rifle of sorts. Both are, I mean, there's other details to it. You could look into it, but essentially, if he wanted to pop someone in the head, he could do it. But he voiced and advocated that it was for his own safety. He was never gonna throw, and he never like fired anything in the store. People have already evacuated there in that situation, and I mean, you guys can like totally read up on like the news itself. All you gotta do is just like look up like Walmart and then gun, and then boom, you're gonna get news. Some which you don't want to see, but some will actually correlate to what I'm talking about. He was doing a social experiment, exactly, which is, I think that's what piqued my interest, because like I'm one for social experiments too, but sometimes it can really make people super uncomfortable. Extremism is never good. Yeah, it was one of those situations again where he just like walked in there. He was just he was making an example of himself, saying that I'm just here to shop, and this is just to protect myself. Like, I'm not gonna do anything. But he still got, like, what was it? He got arrested still, because he wanted to see if I think it was Missouri, if Missouri would still give him the right to like the laws abiding him to carry open armed weapons. But damn. But Josh is bringing in more of the conversations about animals, so thank you. My grandmother had a pit bull, and it was amazing. I feel like it's the owner that determines if it's nice or not, and I totally agree. Actually, when we talk about how good a pet can be, it really does fall upon the owners, actually, because if you think about it, animals, or specifically pets, are deemed by the perspective of a society of humans, of people. And the way that we perceive things, how we interact with things, are far, well, not too far, but different from, say, a dog or a cat. And you have to really understand that dogs and cats, they can possess like behaviors that we deem are good, but we have to train them. Otherwise, they'll do whatever they want. And it's also weird because to train one is similar to training a child. They're not a child; they're still a pet. Emphasis on that, but you could still kind of train them according to like basic like old theories, like the Pavlov stuff. Like it's still like, I'm not sure if I actually got that right for Pavlov, but yeah, essentially the whole like Bell like temperament, and you have to, when you train them, you have to train for behaviors that you think are really good for the community. For example, when you walk into a house, you don't want a dog to just start charging at you, jumping up and down. Mainly, I mean, some people are really like that, and I don't blame them, especially if it's the owners who want a dog that's excited to see them come home. But for other people who may be wary, you just have to train them. The problem is that there's not really much attention to the training. It's why I love this YouTube channel / old TV program called like It's Me or the Dog. It was on Animal Planet, and Victoria Stilwell is just, she's a saint. She goes through training through positive behavior, and I know that Cesar Millan does it too. I'm just not the biggest fan of his perspective of it, but what he does, he can do it, and it makes the population, I would say, just the better to have either one. But yeah, but Corinne was just adding up to, yeah, nip it in the bud. So yeah, behaviors and stuff like that. So for example, give you like a really good example. If you have a dog that you're walking on a leash and sees another dog and just immediately just charge at it, whether it's aggressive or not about that dog or just wants to play, you take it in the other direction if you don't want it to be excited, and then you turn it back, and turn it back in, turn it back around until it stops doing that, because these animals are actually smarter than us, or at least smarter than we would think, because they'll see certain behaviors and they'll see a pattern to things. That's why we're able to teach them how to sit, how to stay. Staying is really important. To have them watch over us, it's just like it is actually pretty simple. It's just that people don't really understand that you gotta train a dog to be a good boy. So it's just like, but cats acting like dogs, says Mark, and dogs acting like cats. They definitely learn from who they are around. Yeah, I can believe that for sure. Especially like, remember that one? I'm not sure if you watched that video, but it was a baby rhinoceros, and it was mimicking a goat, like prancing around. And it's like, there we go. It's just, you learn from other things, and that's just part of like socializing, being part of a society. It's why like a mass number of people or like fish will like sprawl around when something unknown like waltzes in and causes like havoc. Sorry for making that particular example. That's, yeah. But Snape jumps in here saying, yo, what up? Long time to see, guys. It's Brandon, and I just graduated high school. So congrats to Brandon. May you maybe either attend college or may just start off working. I would still recommend maybe grad or community college. There we go. Took me a hot minute to remember that, but whatever works. If anything, because it just helps you hone in on that one particular study, gives you a lot of opportunities too, especially if you go out and seek them. Baby rhinos are adorable. There was a hippo thinking it was a rhino as well. Baby elephants acting like pups. It's great because we all just kind of learn from each other. But what was it else I was talking about? I know that Pokemon's a topic that I can't really touch too much on, because I kind of want to do a reaction video to that, and I just want to keep on building on reaction videos too, because keep it consistent. I still post like weekly, but it's just so scarce and like a little bit far in between that I feel like I need to do more. But there's something that I did do this week. It was on Tuesday. Man, first and foremost, it doesn't matter how much of a discount you get for the tickets. If you buy the food and you decide that, you know what, this preview food is enough, I'm gonna upgrade it, as well as like upgrade to like a main meal. Your stomach can't handle that. I will stand by cheese fries, but if you have popcorn on the side, it's not gonna be a fun time either way. But okay, let me just talk about the movie itself. It was the Fast and Furious one. Presents what was it, Hobbs and Shaw. And I wanted to tell you guys because it's kind of like my first time watching a Fast and Furious-esque type of movie. And of course there's a bunch of action films, but specifically like revolving around Fast and Furious. Still haven't watched a single one. You underestimate my stomach, says Mark. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. Actually, we won't see. But yeah, that was a fun movie. Actually, it was like a lot of fun, and without really spoiling anything, because honestly, there isn't much to spoil. Actually, except for like maybe the end, but because everything's in the trailer, really it is, especially near the farther ends of it, of the trailers. But I think one of my favorite parts was that there's a lot of slow motion parts, and it's really cool for it. But there was the I guess I would just quote him as Superman because he always quotes himself as Black Superman in like the trailers. But Soup's here. The favorite bit is definitely when he like slides underneath the truck and his wheels will turn sideways and he'll just kind of like slide on the ground and he like kicks himself back up as our main dudes are trying to lose him. So that was like definitely one of those favorite bits. The funny thing is that Ryan Reynolds is in the movie as well, and he plays as the bestie who really wants to get in with the family with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and he's just like, no, get the fuck away. And it's kind of a spoiler, not as far as the events of the movie, but the character who's being portrayed here. So I'll give you guys a second to mute. It's Kevin Hart, dude. Kevin Hart just comes in the movie just at a random, dude. I won't tell you guys where he pops up, but just like it's so random. He has an impactful but yet very like minuscule role in the movie. It's so weird. I wouldn't put it under Fast and Furious. Okay, Josh. Well, it's from them for sure. Kevin Hart just jumps in the middle. It's just, and Kevin Hart just does Kevin Hart things. That's his role. Man, dude, it's a fun movie, so I definitely recommend it. And it kind of goes to show that not all movies have to have like some kind of deep and sentimental factor to them to be good. But I don't know, when you have, I love the Italian comedian. But like when you have like two opposing forces like work together, granted it takes some trial and tribulations of comedy acts in between them to actually get to that point. It's just fun. And you know what? I think I'll bring this up too since we're talking about movies now. His stand-up always has me crying, says Josh. Yeah, Kevin Hart is pretty funny. But okay. So this was actually yesterday. I was hanging out with my coworkers at lunch, and one of them, she loves the Marvel movies, didn't like Endgame. She didn't like Endgame, and I was like, oh, that's a hot take. It's like, damn, dude. And the reason why she said that was because she felt like it was slow. And it was a lot of recap. And honestly, I can look back on that and I'm like, she kind of has a point. I can see why someone would say, like, it's definitely slow in the beginning, right? But Black Charizard Gaming is also jumping in here with the chat. So, hello, Black Charizard Gaming. I immediately thought of the Hobbs and Shaw movie. I forgot the guy's name, but we have to refer to him as either Black Superman or just Soups. The guy's wild though. Like he's actually not kind of like hopping back and forth. I'll get back into Endgame for a little bit, but Hobbs and Shaw, that antagonist, he's ooh, that was a teacher burp. But he is, if I had to like, he's kind of tough to pin down as far as like what type of because I guess I don't really watch a lot of these movies then if I don't really have a good archetype for him. But he's like have you guys played Metroid Fusion? TLDR, like with that one, Samus gets cloned after one infection, and then this parasite then like infected her, copied her from like the DNA form to her entire power suit, and at times will just kind of like hunt you down in dark corridors and stuff like that. So it's an always lingering presence. But if this Samus actually had a personality of her own, that's kind of what I can get out of like this Superman persona, is that like he has a mind of his own. He's pretty much a loyal like servant to this higher echelon but he would much rather kill like our main protagonist, but is told to just kind of hold back a little bit. So he's just kind of doing his own thing, and you don't really see him do too much action here and there. Moreover, that when your main guys square up with him, they'll usually lose. But our main dudes are actually relatively smart enough to kind of just elude his grasp, like at the very last second. And he's like, God damn it, I could have done it. Could have done so much. But oh hey, Mark was talking about a little bit of Black Panther here and there, and there's been talks actually about who is it? Whatchamacallit? First Mutant, Namor, popping up in the next Black Panther movie, which I'm totally down for, because like, who wants to put the Dukes up against Black Panther? I'm like, I don't want to do it. But Namor would be interesting, because it's like literally land versus sea. So it's like, ooh, is this a Ruby and Sapphire Man front reference? But no, it's really interesting, especially when they might talk about like his winged feet. But Josh was actually bringing up, oh yeah, and it was kind of like based on like the whole like ever present like character that I was talking about in Metroid Fusion, but he kind of wanted to like a Resident Evil 3 remake. And you know what? I think Capcom could do it. I think they would be down for it, and nothing's really stopping them. So just give them some time. But I think, yeah, like in that case, think of it like Resident Evil 2 remake with I forgot what his name is, but the guy who keeps following you. Well, just imagine it's a guy who runs but has a personality and like a mouth to just run like lines of feeding you information. That's him. But Corin's gonna go get food. Okay. He is the reason Superman can fly. Namor, the first Marvel character. It's true. If it weren't, Namor has such an impactful has such an impact on just like, I think, comic books in general, arguably, because of just like how he was. It was Mr. X. Okay, Andy. I have to refer to it as Stape, although I know that your name is someone else. Give me a second. I can find it. A lot of blank spaces. Blah 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 blah. There we go. Brandon. Thank you. See, if you guys could just like keep your names the same, it'd be great. But all right. Oh man, I have another story. But Endgame. So yeah, coworker did say that like it was kind of slow. She was really disappointed. She wanted to see more action. I was like, okay, that's a fair take. That's a fair take. But did you know? No, it's not like that. Hero is Luigi, says Black Charizard Gaming, as it should be. But it's tough because I want to say so much, because it's an event, not like a movie. It's all building up to something, and when you have so much baggage to just kind of lug around, you kind of have to explain yourself as to why this is this, that, and that, and why the plot needs to be built up the way it is, especially since the whole course of the movie is kind of just a reflection on things that happened in the past, and generally what they want to do to correct it, fix it, move forward with it. But yeah, that's all I want to say. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, especially if they feel like they want to see something else in the movie versus how it is. But I still genuinely think that Endgame did a really good job just sewing everything out, as far as maybe not having another Avengers movie for a while, especially like with how it was set up. I think they did a really good job, honestly, because it was a journey. It was not just a movie. But sorry for that hot take. It almost seemed like I was getting started to get opposed to like someone else's opinion. Of course I don't want to say that. Who else on the internet wouldn't want to say that? Who wants to be against someone? No one. I can't imagine anyone wanting to just make needless arguments about something. No way. But I got a story. Same thing happened yesterday, but it was after work. These past 2 weeks I've been hanging out with one of my coworkers at one of the breweries I've talked to you guys earlier before. This time was a little different. They had like a little performance going on, and I was like, that's super cool. Yeah, we'll have some really cool background music, and we'll applaud here and there. People will give them some money to kind of push them forward. Hey, everyone, make some tables over here. And so we like move our tables, and then we got these two like older women join us, and I was like, what's going on? And it's just like coworker. He's just making conversation. My coworker is pretty much like a decade older than I am. So I'm like, what are you doing? But yeah, he was just making conversations, and there was a food truck. Oh, bless this food truck. They had cider fries. I was like, yes. But we were out there waiting for the truck after like meeting to these ladies who were holding our table, and I can't go into too many details of it, but he was just pretty much asking like, would you like make out with them? I was like, no, because you know me, I'm very what's the word? Very traditional with like what I do. So it has to be like, it would have to be someone like around my age, and someone who's really nice, and that's pretty much it. So, and like one of them was nice, but these two could be my mom. Like, why would I? No, it was bad, dude. It was so bad. I didn't want anything to do with them aside from be friends with them, because they seem like nice people. Would not throw in any inch into them. Just like, no. Yeah, it's wild, dude. And I was like, dude, you serious? No, I don't want anything to do with them. It was wild. Ugh. Needless to say, it's just like, I kind of want to see them again. But hey, Master Hand is here. Welcome, Master Hand. Appreciate you posting here now and again on Discord. Oh man, that reminds me, I gotta do a couple other things. Now that I think about the community, specific to My Hero Academia, but there's of course the core concept videos I should follow up on, and those are fun. I just haven't really made the time to actually record those. I think first and foremost, I need to clear out the space on my computer, both like the local disk that just kind of runs the processor or in the temporary files, and also the main hard drive that stores everything. My Hero, can't wait for season 4, says Mark. Master Hand just got off work. Great. We were playing. I finished. Oh, by the way, finished Smash Brothers, the World Light, and found out I got to play like, well, I guess it's a little bit more obvious now, but as Master Hand, and I was like, yo, this is sick. First of all, I didn't even know I was playing as Master Hand. I thought I was gonna like fight alongside him or something like that, but I was like, I'm moving him. I can the hands twirly thing and then slap people like indefinitely. It's great. Oh, so great. Oh, man. That was so much fun. You know, I might jump back into Smash Bros. Again just to do more completion stuff. Just to make it fuller again. Sick level on light. But, was there anything else I want to talk about video game related? I don't know. I feel like I am on and off with video games. I know I talked about the Gundam one, but that's just a gacha game. And honestly, you're at that point. I think all gacha games are like that too, but excuse me. You're gonna play on the level, and you're gonna just be super good, and they want you to be like that. Clearly, that's it. They want you just to be good, and then just leave it at that. And then later on, they're gonna just throw in like a lot more difficult levels, and you're like, what do I do? And the gacha on the other side just like, pay to win. And you're like, no. And I've already went through my session of pay to win with Fire Emblem, and well, it's not even pay to win. It's just pay to get your character. That's it. That's all money goes to. It's just like, do you want Edelgard? Well, I see 0 like orbs in your like account, or do you want to like add more? It's gonna be $75. And I'm just like, okay, take my money. But I'm not like that anymore. When you're not so dedicated to a game, you really shouldn't put too much money into it, I would say. And I should put more money where my mouth is when it comes to the Xbox Game Pass, because I haven't touched that in like probably a good month now. The console Gundam games are usually better. A lot of the console like renditions are usually better. Not to say that all of them are. I'm looking at Sword Art Online. But yeah. Oh, but Brandon was saying like I've saved up so many orbs for that one recent summer banner and didn't get my tanned waifu. Just an F in the chat, please. Man, that sucks, dude. Alright, but Master Hand needs to get a haircut. This hand needs a haircut. Hashtag bye, he said. So, alright, take care. People talk about the manga. Yeah. My Hero's still pretty strong with that manga. I haven't touched it since the whole traumatic incident thing. I was like, oh, this is dark. How you gonna and that's what I love about the show. It's your superhero show, but it's even darker. And like I'm pretty sure Justice League had like a couple of dark things that I just don't remember, but they're still really just like traumatic still. And hell, like even like Young Justice is doing that too. Except they're not really that young anymore, I guess. They're kind of older now. Although we see Beast Boy now. Same voice actor as the ones from Teen Titans. That's wild, dude. Like, good catch on that. My Hero RPG would be fire. Well, if we're going to talk about like an RPG, said Black Charizard, we have to really think about it, because the obvious thing would be to kind of follow what that Dragon Ball RPG formula is trying to do, which is to follow the main protagonist and kind of like level up that way. But I've seen a lot of, especially from Bandai Namco, generating these games where you get to create your own character and level them up that way. And they just don't really have a place, I would say. So I think, just from the top of my head, like a good RPG for My Hero Academia would be one where, yes, you do make your own like character, you do make your own quirk, but you gotta train up for the entrance exams to get into UA, or hell, let's just add some other like high schools that have their own entrance exams. Let's do that. But they all have prerequisites, and depending on like what type of quirk that you might actually be born with or generate, I think it would actually be a lot better if you actually were just born, quote unquote, with the quirk, so you don't get to decide it, I would say. But then you also have to think, like, is it offensive? Is it defensive? Is it something you could only use in like an urban area for work? Like, there's a lot of things about it. I mean, you'd have to really like think about what you'd want. But it's also like, the idea is that everything's kind of a variable as far as your quirk, so I don't know. We can talk about that all day. It's legitimately all day as far as that. But I'm not going to do that for the sake of time. Yeah. Josh would say that My Hero Academia would be great, but I wouldn't trust Bandai with it. Yeah. But I think Xenoverse developers could do it. You think so? Maybe. Well, actually, I don't really have much verse in like Xenoverse, so I couldn't tell you that. But I mean, just kind of like lay it out there. Like, you have to think about quirks that like work as far as passing entrance exams, quirks that don't really work at all, like, oh, I can bend my finger. Yeah, that's gonna help you out a big time. But oh, maybe I don't even know about that. But some like quirks that just you couldn't do much with, so you just end up going to regular college and everything like that. And that already is a big divide right there as far as like variables. So you have to think about like more offensive quirks and just like variate them. And you also have to think about like, well, there's characters like Mirio who has like a quirk, but yeah, you can't really do that. And I just don't think, or it just takes so much time, dude. I don't think if you really want to give it to the, if you want to really give the ideas to like the creators, you're gonna see a lot of things. You're gonna see like people trying to ship their OC with a Sue, for example. And I don't know about that, but I totally dig a Mirio type of hero. But that's also very specific, and it's something where you would have to submit that, and someone actually has to deem that is okay, and like, okay, we'll add that into the game or something like that. It would be a huge undertaking, as Mark agrees with that. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's been in the talks, but there's just so many things like to consider that it may not be a good idea to just kind of like do that. Yeah, you just have to really talk to people. Otherwise, people have just done like fighting games and story based on the story events on the manga, like One Justice did, and that's the furthest extent that people may want to go for. Otherwise, yeah. Whew. I love that fucker from the concept vid. Yeah, it was wild. So iShall's putting some input with it. Like, so a need for a hero in our villain story with maybe preset quirks for you to choose from. But that's my problem, is that if it's preset, then there's not a lot of creativity that you can add to it unless you can like add like a flair to it, like super strength, but you punch and then you go limp. You punch or you just phase into water. You punch but you have to hit it indirectly. I don't know. There's just like a lot of things you could like make it varying from, but there's so much like input because it's a variable, and presets just don't seem to do the show justice. Having a full play style for defensive, offensive, long range, and short range, or even a non-fighting quirk. That's a lot of input. That's a lot. Fighters format maybe for like other anime games is proven to be very popular. They just need the Arc Systems work. They just need that Arc Systems treatment. Arc System just knows it. Can we talk about something? I don't even care for Guilty Gear, but I wanted to just talk about it real quick because one, that trailer that was presented at EVO was super smooth. People's lips flapping. I was like, yo! And then it cuts to that one big dude just slicing up the tile card. He looks over to you, smiles, and then and I was like, that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. It was so wild. Great, I still wouldn't play it, but you gotta give it like that treatment, that attention to detail is like really clean. And I know that they've been working on a Grand Blue like fantasy type of fighting game, which looks slow, but it looks good. And then Grand Blue Art has their whole like Platinum Games treatment too, so it's like, whoa, like where is this all coming from? But Grand Blue also has like a lot of like potential too, and I know that they have like their own gacha game as well, so it's like they're taking over. Like this is too real. But I don't know where I was going with all of that. I know that I just wanted to talk about video games like very briefly, and then the movie stuff. I know that I wanted to like make a discussion video on Lion King, but honestly, like I think I missed the window, and I just kind of like lost interest in Lion King. And the whole idea of the concept was just how they carry over moral theming and just certain lines. Some things are omitted. Like for example, I'll tell you right now that one of my favorite things that I've seen all over the internet that reminds me of like the movie is the scene where Simba talks to Rafiki like after he's run away from home, and then Rafiki's just like whacks him on the top of the head, and he's like, what is that for? And Rafiki's like, doesn't matter, it's all in the past. And Simba's like, yeah, that hurt though. And he's like, yes, the past can hurt, but from what I can see from it, you can either run from it or you can learn from it. Whacks it and tries to whack him again. It's like, you got it now, so what are you gonna do? Simba's like, first of all, I'm gonna take your stick. Like chucks it and starts running back to the Pride Lands. I love that bit because it's something that can carry over into your life, and for them to just kind of like misplace it and just say like, I'm Simba, son of Mufasa, is like, well, that doesn't really identify you or like what you want to do, because you're just following like what you're destined to do instead of what you would want to do. Which, by the way, what do you want to do again? That's what the kind of questions were brought up to me when I was watching the Lion King movie, because it's nice to just be carefree and do whatever you want, but it's nice that they contrast it with Mufasa in that sense. But they also don't flesh out his character to let him do what he kind of wants to do, his own specific reason to go back to the Pride Lands. Aside from just like, oh, that's my dad. It's my dad. Remember who you are. Like, what is it that you see, Simba? It's my dad. So, let's see. Mark was also saying Kill la Kill did a fighter's art style mixed with arena fighting, which that's nice, but also super random. But I can only hope for the best, because Kill la Kill still sits up there as like a really just a fun show to watch. Whether you really get a lot more from it than just like the aesthetics, I mean, it's still a lot of fun in my opinion. But I don't know, if we're gonna like talk more about anime games, there just needs to be like a much more dedicated like development team, I would say, because sure, you can make cash money like with all this stuff, like making all the Sword Art Online games, making like 1 or 2 games like from Seven Deadly Sins to like what was it, the one with Asta in it, Black Clover. Like, you can make these games like real quick and make some quick buck, but it's just like it doesn't do much for like the series itself. So in short, that wasn't very cash money of you, Bandai. And even with this like Gundam game, like granted though, like the replay value is just being able to make your own Gundam, and that's super cool within itself. It's just like that's the extent of it. There's nothing that really makes it seem that great, and it's super easy to just kind of give yourself an objective well, at least I say that, but it's so easy to kind of give your like a objective, but how you get to the objective and accomplish it is, I think, what really matters when it comes to making a great game, I would say. Like, for example, Santa Monica Studios working on God of War. Like, people have been talking like really good things about like that game, but it's a very, not, I wouldn't say very, but it is kind of a linear path where it's like, take the mother's ashes to the highest mountain, and that legit is the objective and remains to be the objective. But how you get there and the stories involved in between is just, whoa. Same with Spider-Man. Spider-Man saves the day. Like, the objective, save the day. Okay. But the voice acting cast is stellar. Like, the gameplay's a lot of fun. It reminds you of like the old like Spider-Man games. It's just like, there's not really much else to say. It's just the games are great. And you can also like tag on to other games like, well, maybe Sea of Thieves. It's not the most spectacular game, but it's also still fun too, where it's like the objective is to become Pirate Legend or just to do whatever you want. And so what they kind of add to the open sandbox type of game, that's what like really decides if it's like fun or not, I would say. Mark is also saying the fighters format, I think this is the best way to do them right now, which was like tag systems and the ability to block everything. those reads though, it's like, whoa, that's wild, dude. But I don't know, like, I'm totally down with the fighters format too, for as long as I was able to play the game for the classic fighter game format, which was like 2D. Street Fighter still sits with that. Tekken is still a lot of fun with that, for as short as I was able to play for it too. But yeah, it's just like, I think Fighters was a very successful one, because I think it was because Arc System just kind of like backed it up as far as like making it fun to play, but also making it easily accessible to play it. One Piece fighter style, that could work too. I mean, like, didn't One Piece have like their one game, Burning Blood? They wanted to kind of make it like a 3D, but like also like 2D type fighting game, and it just didn't really work out after a while because you have to consider all the cast. 2.5 really works for anime because it does justice to the art style, but also making it like separate from the show by making it like 2.5. That's great. Any anime could work with fighter style. Arguably, yes. I think I'd jump off my seat if I saw like a Naruto game that was like that instead of 3D. Like, granted, I love the 3D, like in Ninja Storm, just because like it allows you to move around and stuff like that. But a lot more technical stuff, it's, oh my god. But we can talk about it all day. But I think that will actually do it for this podcast. It was nice talking to everyone. Topics were all over the place, but we were still talking, and that's kind of what matters. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't really have anyone here to talk with me on set again, but it's as exactly as I said before. People have things to do, so as long as we just kind of like come back here every now and again, I think it's pretty much good for the next couple of sessions. We'll see where DangIT Prodcast lies like in the future, but yeah, I'll just end it from here, and then we'll just move forward. But yeah, all right. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of DangIT Prodcast, or listening DangIT Prodcast episode 270. Dude, we're like 3 episodes away from like 300. All the Sparta references are gonna just be coming straight in, just like out of the woodwork when we get there. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. #bye everyone.